My name is Salman Hameed, and I'm Assistant Professor of Integrated Science and Humanities at Hampshire College.
I'm Kevin Anderson. I teach courses in film and anthropology at the University of Massachusetts, and this is Film Autopsy. Hello, and welcome to a film autopsy of Ridley Scott's new film, greatly anticipated, Prometheus, written by John Spates and David Lindelof. Now, I'm going to lead by saying I really enjoyed watching this film.
All right, take us round.
Bringing it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Prometheus has landed.
But I think they should have X'd those two screenwriters and gotten Joss Whedon and Duncan Jones to write the screenplay. Because ultimately, I think it's the screenplay that is weak. The visuals, the story itself, the characters in it, very interesting, very compelling. I really enjoyed it. And then when you stop to think about it, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. That's kind of a silly thing.
Well,
But I enjoyed it.
I don't think you have to stop to think about that it is a silly film. I think it is a silly film.
If I can interject, at what point did you, while watching it, at what point did you say, wait a minute, Mr. Scott, you've duped me, or
Okay.
you screwed up?
I think the opening shot of the film is absolutely phenomenal. You go like, whoa, there's a sweeping landscape, and it is in 3D. One of the best 3D films actually I've seen, where normally I have to take out the glasses because, for glare and stuff like that. Right. This is a total immersion in 3D. Yeah. The use of 3D is fantastic. Okay, visually, it's a beautiful film, and the opening sequence, which basically takes you through a landscape. We don't know where that landscape is. It's unclear, kind of like it's a terrestrial planet. All we know is that it's a solid land. And then we see
mountains, water.
And then we see this guy, a buff humanoid, let's put it this way, grayish in color, and he jumps into the water for whatever reason, okay, and his body distorts, decomposes, and whatever. Okay, that's just opening, so we're not giving anything away. And there is a spacecraft hovering on top. Okay, this is before the actual title comes up, Prometheus, right?
It's like a prologue.
Unbelievable, first of all, interesting.
It gets you right away.
It gets you. You go like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah,
right?
where is this film going to go?
And then the movie goes back, it talks about kind of in the present where two. Not biologists, but they are
archaeologists.
Archaeologists. They are looking at cave art, and they have discovered some ancient art in Scotland. And what they find is that there is some signs of ancient spacecraft.
These are images of archaeological digs all over the earth. Ancient civilizations that shared no contact, and yet the same pictogram, every last one.
It's a star map.
No, not a map. An invitation.
From whom?
This is something that is inspired, comes from in the 1960s. There was this Chariots of God.
Oh yeah.
By Eric von Däniken. There has been signs of ancient visitations by ancient astronauts. It's derived from there. That is fine. And then the key point with the movie is they go and visit this moon of a planet where these ancient astronauts came from.
And if I can just add, so these petroglyphs that they see on the side of the caves, they match other ones that have been sighted in the Middle East and in Hawaii and in Indonesia. So they conclude, these archaeologists conclude, well, there's no way that any one culture could have just, that there was communication, that aliens must have put these here.
Right, and so they go over there, and then the movie moves up in the future, and it's like 89 or something like that, a little, and then they go for this mission, and they get there in 2 years.
On board the ship Prometheus.
On board the ship Prometheus, which has an android on board, which is an homage to perhaps 2001 Space Odyssey, who is named David.
But consistent with all the alien films. There's always
that's true, and it's played by Michael Fassbender. Awesome, Michael Fassbender. I think he was just absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
What are you doing, David?
I'm attempting to open the door.
Wait. We don't know what's on the other side.
Oops, sorry.
We have, I think, given all the good things.
Okay, we still haven't got to the point where you felt, wait a minute.
When they go and land on this planet, first of all, and this is one of those issues, these people, and there were a bunch of scientists in the crew. Okay,
There's biologists, there's
geologists, these
maybe
same
linguists,
archaeologists
yeah.
in there, and they seem to me the dumbest people on the planet.
They're sent
And
off to go try to meet our makers.
That's-
and they're not, these people aren't very bright. It's
They
a poor
are not very bright.
representation.
So where I was left out of this movie was they go in and there are some artificial caves, let's put it this way, or some sort of a structure which is kind of natural and artificial combined, right? And when they go in, they can see actually that it is kind of like leftover from artificial, and they do think that they've been sent to meet the makers, because the idea is that those ancient astronauts engineered humans.
Yes.
That was the idea behind it. So they are
implied.
going to meet. And one of the lead scientists, played by Noomi Rapace, she is a believer in that. She really believes that, yes, those engineers are there. This mission is sponsored by a corporation. So, and Charlize Theron is in charge of the spacecraft, and so there are these other elements in there.
You won't talk to them? You'll do nothing but report back to me.
But the place where I felt cheated was when the scientists go in and they go like, inside this artificial place where there are things oozing off, there are some biological things.
Yeah, it's
they go
almost
like,
a dome that they enter into, and it looks like it's almost kind of a shrine
and
inside.
they go like, the air smells fine. Let me take off my helmet, okay? Now
Always a good idea on a faraway distant planet.
On a faraway distant planet, there are some oozy stuff out all around, and you go, okay, I'll just take off this helmet. What kind of scientists are those? Okay. And then the backbreaker was a few minutes later when a geologist, complains that, well, everybody is interested in biology and nobody is interested in geology, and I can't find anything of interest of here. You are on a completely unexplored, never that humans have seen this place, planet, moon of a planet. And you think you don't find anything
nothing
of
to do.
interest, nothing to do, everything is of interest. So this actually just showed that the screenplay writers really are disconnected with the movie, and I think that was consistent. Rest of the movie was full of cliches.
Poor representation of scientists. Scott's film entertains this notion of creationism versus evolution, which we will get at in more detail in our no gloves.
Did you like were you in the story apart from all of these kind of
It's like
details?
the overall story I really liked. I thought it had too many characters, and the scenes were just too short. It was like every scene had to have some dramatic conflict instead of just having a scene that really enriched the plot. There wasn't a lot of that. So in the end, I felt it was like I was watching this great pot of chili cooking, and it was going somewhere. And then when you lift it up, it's like actually cooking in a colander, and all the good stuff is gone. It's like, oh. So I was disappointed. I feel kind of ambiguous. I was disappointed, but at the same time, I appreciated a lot of the characters, a lot of the moments in the film, and the overall story, the concept.
But didn't you find it predictable? I mean, what was the unpredictable part of the movie?
The giant calamari at the end. I did not see the giant calamari.
This place isn't what we thought it was. They aren't what we thought they were.
Well, I don't know. I mean, my problem was that there wasn't anything. Alien and Aliens. I mean, Alien, the first one. I mean, there was thrilling elements to that. I wasn't thrilled in this film, apart from, and I'm not saying that science was great in Alien, or even Aliens, which he didn't direct, but in Aliens and stuff like that. No, science was awful in that one too. But I thought the story in those were gripping.
Yes.
Here, I just didn't think the story was gripping, and yes, we can imagine that the story was had great potential. Yeah, but it wasn't in there.
Ultimately, then, is this better than Avatar?
Boy, that's a tough one, because I absolutely detested Avatar. Is it better than Avatar? Yes, I would say it is better than Avatar. Because I think that was offensive. This is simply incompetent.
I think, as an anthropologist, I think it was kind of offensive to archaeologists.
Okay, all right,
but overall, no, I agree. I think the politics in Avatar were really complicated and problematic and very naive. This one is just kind of sloppy.
Yeah, and we're not even.
Okay, so the mighty Prometheus. I hope, or hopefully unlike George Lucas, who rebooted the Star Wars franchise with his Phantom Menace Killer Return Sith thing, hopefully there'll be more films by Ridley Scott, but written. Please get Duncan Jones and Joss Whedon to write the screenplays.
How about this?
Get rid of these two guys.
If you really want to see Prometheus, don't go and see Moon by Duncan Jones. Made it for $5 million.
Yeah.
A much better film.
much better film.
Rather than this couple of $100 million garbage. I said garbage.
What happened?
Your arms held a message tender, saying I surrender all my love to you.